Love this. Love this. Let's give love a try. That's what this is all about tonight.
Let's give love a try. Sweeter than love. Heaven's there for those who fool tricks all the time. With the hearts of love divine. True love in a special way. The closer I get to you.
Hello, everybody. Isn't that sweet? Roberta Flack, Donnie Hathaway. Baby, you remember when we met Roberta Flack in Tulsa? We got to go backstage.
What a sweet memory.
This is the first time my sweet wife Gina has been here and shared with me. Normally she's at a Landmark Forum at night, and she gets in just as I close, but this time she's here, and I'm so glad. We're going to have a wonderful time talking about this love series, the daunting, daring, sometimes dangerous and dynamic expression and experience of love, and what it means to be involved in a relationship. This will be our 20th year. September of this year. We met in April, May of 1993, 20 years ago, and here we are. We got 2 children, and we have a little communion here tonight, so you can take a little communion if you'd like to, and enjoy it. I want to tell you first, there's a couple of housekeeping deals before we get into the whole program. Come on. We're on. We're on, right? Somebody tell me we're not. We're good, Madge? Have Julian check. It says we're on. So I want to talk about something you can get online from us right away. It's this beautiful 2013 monthly calendar, computer desktop backgrounds with inspirational thoughts and quotes from leading spiritual teachers, all of them my personal friends. Of course, Gina and I have a page, each one, and a little comment at the bottom. Beautiful, gorgeous, incredible, picturesque shots of the Chicago skyline or the lake or something like that. I have Dr. Barbara King, the bishop, down in Atlanta at the Hillside Truth Center, where I'll be there actually this weekend. And D.E. Polk, my dear friend Elijah Hakeem Adonijah, whom I met through Gina on her Facebook. David Alexander, who has a wonderful spiritual life center in Portland, Oregon. Yvette Flunder, Bishop Yvette Flunder, many of you knew her of the fellowship out of San Francisco, California, appeared with me on the Dateline show. Nicholas O'Rourke, one of our charming young new pastors and preachers, I should say, and just brilliant, expanded consciousness. We love him very much. Michael Beckwith, Dr. Michael Beckwith, our personal friend of the last several years, and one of my personal mentors in New Thought. And James Peter Jandu, who lives in London, England, from a Sikh background, East Indian, who designs our set and such a big part of us. But anyway, for one picture file per each month, you can actually download it on your computer. You can get, for any amount, just donate something to the ministry here, and you can download the entire calendar and all of its gorgeous pictures, or you can get it once a month. A new calendar. Of course, this would be the month of February. You can click and donate. Have lots of comments from all around the world. I'm going to dispense with some of that and tell you more next week. This whole month of February, we're going to be dealing with the Love Series, and I call it the Love Series and Love Seriously. Dynamic, daring, daunting, sometimes even dangerous. The daring risks of love and marriage, and how to weather and navigate the storms by dealing with unhealed sores, spots and tender places in your areas in your soul and your life, wounds and injuries. Most of our pain is historical. It comes out of our past. There's a 50 to 67% divorce rate in America. Something is missing somewhere. I think it's because, as the marriage vows say, you enter it unadvisedly. You don't realize that it's not always flower beds of ease. We'll tell you stories of what we've been through as a couple. Love is a general intense feeling of affection, and you know what that's like, and emotional attraction, including a deep romantic, sometimes sexual attachment to someone. That's eros love. There's 3 kinds of love in Greek. 4 actually. Agape, that's the godly love, that sort of a selfless, what I call precious love, or like Charity calls it in the Old Testament, or in the King James Version of the Bible. Then, of course, there's philia. Phileo, you heard of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Phileo refers to friendship, brotherly kinship love, like familiar love or family love. And of course, there's eros. That refers to intimate love, romantic love, sensual, sexual love, erotic love, brotherly love, friendly love. Then the love of God, or agapao, agan meaning more love, a lot of love, God's love. And of course, storge refers to a familiar or family love, like blood kin, when you would have for your children or your siblings or your parents. Those are all those. There are other words, but those are the four most dominant used words. So we're going to be talking about those kinds of loves. It is said that love, and this is what I sent out to all of you this week, it is said that love is giving someone the ability to destroy you emotionally and trusting them not to. Love, marriage, relationship, what do you do if and when they do seem to destroy you emotionally? Why is and how can love, marriage, family, friendship sometimes be so painful, and how do you manage that pain? The daring risk of love and marriage, and how to weather and navigate the storms by dealing with unhealed sores, wounds, and injuries. That's what we're going to talk about. This whole fantasy of love. Dreams and fantasies is the right to a need, not a want. I heard Sean Penn say that. Dreams or fantasies is the right to a need, not to a want. We all need and we all want love, and so we're going to express it tonight. Sweethearts, greet the folks. They're watching us live, and we're just going to banter back and forth. We talk about where we met, what we're thinking, and later on you can say what one of the greatest challenges you think so far, living with me for 20 years in love, what has been one of the great challenges that you think you've overcome or that we're overcoming together.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and first time I get to be with your internet audience. Welcome, welcome.
Sure.
And 'tis the season for love. It's the season that's in the air. And, you know, I think it's what we all want. It's really at the core nature of who we are. Mm-hmm. So when we're distracted from that, we're really being inauthentic to our true selves.
You mean it's natural to love?
Yeah, it's who we are. We are love. Mm-hmm. We let ourselves, I speak for myself, what I find true for me is I get distracted when I'm nurturing my victim consciousness. When I have expectations of you that I expect to be met, whether they're communicated or not, and I make my happiness dependent upon that external thing, I'm distracted from who I really am.
You're saying when you become almost codependent on what you think you're supposed to be receiving from me and it's not there, it upsets you. And how do you handle that pain? Because it's painful. When a need is a felt need, an emotional, physical, psychological need or spiritual need is not being met, you feel a sense of abandonment, right? An emptiness, a hollowness. And many times in relationships, regardless of how long that my parents have been married, 66 years this year, 2013. And I've watched them raise 6 children. They had 7, and go through all the different changes and challenges and choices. And there have been some pain. Nobody can hurt you or really even hate you like somebody you love or somebody who loves you. Some of the worst feuds that have ever been waged and wars have been waged within families. The worst war in American history where more Americans were killed was not the Revolutionary War coming from Britain to America, or the Spanish-American War, or the war with the Native Americans. It was the Civil War. Not Vietnam, not World War I and II, the Civil War, the actual Civil War. There were more people killed when the country was fighting itself. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in divorce court, horrible things happen. Children see terrible things and they're broken. And sometimes statistics say those injuries follow children their entire life. Some of you watching now are children of divorced families, divorced parents. And you're dealing with issues in your relationships, if you have any, that are based on pain out of your past, historical pain. So we go back to the pain and extract in that memory the lie of abandonment out of it and reinterpret the experience so that it doesn't cripple who we are.
Well, and we get present. You are not hurting me now. No pain of my past is affecting me now. When I'm present and I'm creating a new possibility with you now, There is no pain. But when I step out of being present with you, out of the court of creating powerfully what I want to experience and have with you, and go into the balcony of life, when I begin to think about what happened to me and judge what happened to me, then that's where my suffering is.
So they can't see you.
That's where my suffering is.
Obi, can you see Gina? She's right here in camera with me. I don't know why somebody says they can't see her at all. And you want to see my beautiful wife? I'll get out of the picture just so you can see that gorgeous face. So let me know if you can't see us. She's in the shot right now. We're right here together. So I don't know why he says you can't see Gina at all. She needs to be more aligned by the candles. Can you see us, Madge?
Ah, the candles are behind us. Nice.
The candles are behind us now.
Can you see us?
Can you see us okay now? I'm sorry for the interruption, but I want you to make sure we see this. We'll retape this later for a whole series for you to see, but this is live tonight, and we just want to get a taste of the different things that we're going to be talking about regarding relationships, the pain, the pathos. Sometimes it's shocking. You never know a person until you live with them. In a marital situation where there's a covenant and a commitment, and you're legally bound to each other. And we hate to even use the term bound, because bondage is something nobody likes, but there is a bond between us. And no matter how angry I get, and I do get angry, marriage can really tick you off. I mean, it's a trip, and we're all on it.
Well, it magnifies who you already are.
Well, now wait just a minute, honey. Don't just cut me off.
Well, you said it. I mean, you discover who you are in that relationship. You could live alone.
And who you're not.
Yeah. You could live alone. You were 40 when we met, and you could have continued that. But you chose not to, so you invited me into your life. So now you get to discover who you really are outside of your commitment to wanting to be in a relationship.
It does rub the old. There are layers and layers. And I was 40 when I met you, and I'm 40 when I married you. So layers, 40 years of me had to be unwrapped, and boy, did she unwrap it. I mean, she didn't realize she was doing it, but there were just things. I thought I was being confronted with my wife or with Gina. I was really being confronted with me, my issues. You talk about incomplete past. You're drawn, opposites attract, and then they attack. I was attracted to something in Gina that I didn't see in myself, vice versa. And the very thing that I was attracted to her strength, to a sense of independence. She was articulate and bright and opinionated, very opinionated. All those things fascinated me until we got married and she started expressing those opinions and all that strength. I wanted to get weak and get behind. In fact, just get completely out.
So, that speaks to, what yet is to be transformed in you.
Right. Right.
That you get to be who you are, and I get to be the contribution I choose to be to you. It's a partnership.
Great.
It's a partnership.
We
discover ourselves.
It's a duo, not a duo. Duo, not a duo. Sometimes we make it a duo.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't.
And we often don't want to look at our past, but it's only, when we face it, do we have the potential for a tremendous future? Because it's there. And at times it needs to be confronted, to look at it, sort it out, complete it, and then you can create powerfully a new future.
Can you see her? It's okay? All right, now you're closer. They're telling you to move this way. The closer you get to me. We're right in each other's face, and our camera we seem fine. I don't know it's like an argument. It's never my view that's bad; it's your view that's bad. So if you're watching us live, you don't see us. It ain't nothing wrong with my camera; it's your camera.
And it's not wrong with the arguments. It's necessary to have communication. We can keep our voices decent. And
now, what I do, and that's one of the issues in our marriage, when I am turned off or ticked off about something, I don't like to argue, so I just shut down. I stop talking, and it's very painful for you, right? It's like killing somebody.
Yeah, well, there's no
men
potential.
tend to do that. We draw walls more than.
Well, let's not justify it.
I'm not justifying. I'm explaining. Don't get me started. I'm explaining why it's wrong.
Well, and you're you say you're the leaders in our home, but we lead by example. So what is there to look at inside of relationship? Where is the breakdown? It's necessary in order to have the breakthrough, but if you go silent, it's horrifying because nothing else is possible then. I can't have the relationship by myself.
Well, it's not just talking. I don't mind talking. I don't like arguing and bickering. And most men will go have what we call our man cave, where we go away from wife, kids, everybody. Men tend to be that way more. The male does more than the female. Everybody needs their time. You can go sit in the tub and soak and whirlpool. I don't do all that stuff. You like it. And I love it when you go in there and close the door sometimes, leave you alone. And just soak, and you come out a very different person. That's very good. Sometimes I'll run the tub for you, saying, "Go get in there and stay in there." Yeah. But this is it's the back and forth of not living in denial, but learning how to detach yourself from a reality that is too painful for you. You can't deny. None of us deny that the pain is there.
But most of the pain is historical. It hasn't been dealt with.
Comes out of our past.
Yeah, so if we are present to creating new possibilities, we don't have to be with the pain. There is no pain. Look at us now.
So what do you mean we don't have to be with the pain?
Well, we are creating now. Nothing painful is happening. That's a past conversation. That's incomplete. Mm-hmm. When I let the 13-year-old run my marriage, when I'm triggered by something that happened to me years ago, and I project it on a present situation, I lose power. The potential for what we're creating is shot. Until I deal with that, you pay a price for that history that has nothing to do with you.
Very, very good point. Yeah. We do project on others our own pain or unforgiveness or our own sometimes misperceptions. Because life is not just what you experience, is not just what happens to you. It is what you do with what happens to you. And it's how you perceive what happens to you, and then how you interpret the perception of what happens to you. It's about how you experience yourself. I can say you make me angry or you hurt my feelings. In counseling they always say never say you make me or put the blame on somebody. Say I feel like this.
It's more responsible.
I felt rejected or abandoned or insulted or demeaned the other day when we were having that conversation in the car. We were on our way to church, and I had to minister. You didn't have to minister, but you got me really ticked off. So I carried a grudge into the pulpit. Sometimes ministers do that. I don't do it often, but sometimes I have done it over the 20 years. I could get so angry in the car.
Yeah, but how responsible is that? It might get triggered, but it's because it's there, and it hasn't been dealt with.
Yeah, it may seem irresponsible, but it's not irresponsive. I am responding to a situation that I feel I don't have control over at the time. Mm-hmm. And anger, is a signal emotion. It signals some emotion or devotion or commotion somewhere in our life that has not been properly dealt with. Mm-hmm. And it triggers you off. Yeah, you're right. The pain is not present. Mm-hmm. It is a memory. Mm-hmm. I can pull a scab off of you, a sore that is healing, but it's not quite healed. Or an injury. Mm-hmm. It's not an organic illness. You're not dying of a disease, but you feel the tension of the pain and I may have been the one that inflicted the injury emotionally at some point. Sometimes we men, our husbands, can say things that we think is a pebble, and to her, it's a boulder. You just crush her to pieces. And I know I've been guilty of doing that, not as guilty as other people are. But I think I've been guilty of saying things that were being very painful to you. And at the time I said it, I may have meant for it to hurt, but not to crush and destroy. Mm-hmm. So sometimes our words and our attitudes or the spirit and our energy in those words can shut people down. And that's why I say nobody can hurt you or hate you or harm you like somebody you care about, somebody you love. Children break their parents' hearts. We're going to the stage right now when our kids are growing up and we don't feel as necessary in their lives because they're making their own choices. I don't know how much it's affecting you, but Julian's 18 and we're not close enough. We're almost face to face. I don't know why you don't see us, but does it look weird? What? She's comfortable. Okay, I'm sorry. We're trying to get so you can see us. We're very clear in this screen. I don't know why we're not elsewhere. But anyway, letting children go. At this page, Gina, now for the first time in our marriage, has a long-term commitment to a job. And our kids are old enough to handle themselves. And, I've been basically a housewife, because she was that for many years when I was traveling and out. But now we office out of the homes a lot. And if I'm not on the road speaking or it's not Sunday, I'm here. I do my work from the internet. I'm writing another book, and I spend a lot of time on the computer. There's a time when I should shut it up.
A lot of time. I often tell my husband that there are other things he can manipulate in this house besides his phone, keyboard, and this keyboard. So everything has to have balance, in relationships. I got that. It's important. You were saying about Julian being 18 now and growing up. What was your thought about that?
Well, that my kids used to go to the movies with us every Friday night from the time they were like 2. I mean, I like going to the theater and escaping into that big screen, and I like action movies. My son and I like more action movies. Gina and Madge like the girly movies, chick flicks we call them.
Naturally so.
And so we try to balance it out, but sometimes just me and Julian. Well, when he got in high school, and some of it before we left Tulsa, but once we got here and they got their friends, they wanted to go out on Friday nights with their friends. And they kept saying no, no, no. And it was really hurting my feelings a lot. I mean, I went through several months of just, dang. Because in Chicago, we don't have as many friends as we had in Tulsa. So my kids were my friends and my family, my wife. Well, Julian would go to a movie. Gina would not go to a violent movie or an action movie. And there are more of those than there are of these sweet little Sleepless in Seattle stuff, which I enjoyed very much with her. And, so we go. But I just felt restless that my kids are walking out of my life. They're establishing their own friends. They're making their own choices. And I can't be as active and don't feel as needed. That hurts. But it's because of love. Love is one of the most self-centered, self-serving words in the English dialogue or in the human dialogue or dialect. Because when you say you love somebody, as you've heard me say repeatedly, you're saying you love the part of yourself that you experience when you're with that person. I love you a lot, but it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's sensual, it's sexual, it's psychological. I mean, but it also is when I say sensual, I'm not just talking about sexual. It is an emotion. It's a feeling, and it's painful because if I think I'm not providing for you, or you're not happy with something about me, or that I'm providing or not doing in our relationship, I feel that. And a lot of the things I do for you and for our children is out of my desire to feel better about me.
Got it. But it doesn't have to be painful. We can have a conversation about it. You can share what's so, and then we can grow through it. We can move through it. It doesn't have to freeze you. That's where the excitement, because love is an action word, is it not?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a noun, but it's an action word. It's an action means performance. Mm-hmm. And I'm bringing the part out that a lot of the things we do, and it's okay to do it, a lot of the things we do are based on our need to do them. Like, for instance, if you're running around all day helping, you want to go check on your mom and check on your aunt, check on your kids, and check on some friend that's in the hospital or in trouble, or make a phone call or write a letter or do an email or text. And when you lay down at night, you remember how many things you didn't get to do. And you say, I forgot to, man, I wanted to call her. I wanted to stop by and see him. I need to send that. I forgot to put that letter in the mail. You're experiencing a rash of emotions about yourself. The person doesn't feel the same way you may feel about not calling them. Well, they were busy. Unless you had a commitment to go by and see somebody, but you wanted to call your mother or your aging aunt or grandparent or godparent or something. We're really committed to all these relationships, but we're more importantly, I think, or more significantly, you're committed to yourself, to how I feel about me after we've had a conversation, even if it's lovely and wonderful, if we've been out together and we ate or we went to a movie and where we were hanging with friends. We were the other night at Hermine's house for that gumbo dinner, and we had a great time with 2 or 3 couples. I felt so good when I came home because the people in the room, all 3 couples, were close to us. Mm-hmm. We laughed and we ate excellent food and with wonderful drinks. It was just a wonderful evening, and you and I had such a splendid time together as we did at this morning and all. That's precious, but it's really not the point I'm trying to make is just not how I experience you. It's how I experience me in relationship to you.
Yeah.
That is the dynamic. It starts and stops with how life does, how you experience you. So I can't say you make me angry or I didn't enjoy you. It's like I didn't enjoy me. So what do I need to deal with in me to fix that? Do you get the point?
Yeah. And I'd like to invite you to consider that there's nothing wrong and nothing needs to be fixed. I married you 19 years ago, 5 months and 4 days ago this day. So we just got married about 2 hours ago. Yeah, in addition to that. So I committed my life to experiencing the possibility of who, I'm transforming into with you.
Who are you evolving?
Yeah, who I am that's evolving. I'm a mother now of a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. Clearly I wasn't that when I married you. The relationship now takes on a new meaning because, as you said, the kids have relationships that they want to develop. They don't always want to be with me. I'm adjusting to that too. There was one time I was making them wrong for choosing their friends over me. Well, we raised them to be independent. We raised them to have a life that they can create.
Good point.
So now, here it is. Here we are again. So, if the conversations aren't being had, if we are not creating new experiences, what's happening to our love? What is happening to the relationship?
For all of us husbands who are watching, the male role, even in same-sex marriages or relationships, there is a male and female role, and we tend to walk them out and live them out. They're pretty interesting. When I've ever spoken to gay couples, they have basically the same challenges that we do as straight couple or heterosexual couple. But tell us, Gina, for the husbands in the relationships, ladies like to talk, wives want to communicate. When you say communicate, you're talking about not just verbal communication. You're talking about some kind of emotional oneness, right?
Well, and listening is a very important part of communication. That you get to hear me, that you get to understand. We don't have to sit and have a 2-hour conversation every time we're together. Just being together is important.
Got it.
But to get out what's there, to be honest about what's so. We harden our hearts because we don't want to deal. We don't want to communicate. I can speak that for me at times when I'm being inauthentic to share with you an honest communication. I withhold it for whatever reason. It doesn't contribute to what's possible in the relationship. So, there's so much that can be said about love out of commitment. Does it get difficult? Yeah. And it's fundamental to being human that we're all faced with this challenge.
Well, the agape love, as I referred to earlier, the agapao or agape is that selfless God type of love. We assume at least when we read scripture, those of us who've brought up around Bibles, the agape love is supposed to be the love of God toward humanity and the love we have as gods toward humanity. Then the phileo is the brotherly or friendship love. Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. The Church of Philadelphia is in the scriptures as well. I have an erotic attraction to you, of course, sexual, sensual attraction. But what's equally as important, in some ways more important, because you can have an erotic attraction to any human being, but a phileo with your covenant partner, your spouse, to be friends with the lady with whom I sleep and who is the mother of my children, it's just a dynamic within the relationship that is absolutely irreplaceable. To be sleeping not with the enemy, but with your friend. That trumps, in some ways, it superimposes itself over the sexual aspect, because the sexuality is a very, very small part of the relationship. It's powerful, it's dynamic, it's prophetic. But the rest of the time, in the kitchen, in the car, talking about children, talking about a trip, talking about bills.
Most of the time, yeah.
PMS, punny, mower, Power, money, and sex, PMS. Many relationships, I think I got that from TD Jakes. PMS, power, money, and sex are 3 areas and issues in any relationship.
And for us, it could be the Pearson mood swing.
Right. Well, your last name is Pearson too, so
Yeah.
you're in on that now. That was good. I forgot about that part of it. Or pretty mean sister, PMS. That can work in there as well. So any way it fits, we use it. But those are critical issues in any relationship, and we're doing, and we live in a glass house, a fishbowl. We have for many years as a high-profile couple within the religious world, because we pastored for thousands and still do minister, and we have some name and face recognition outside of our home. So people watch us. There's pressure on us to be exemplary, and we are not always exemplary. We try to be, but the demand on us is higher, and the expectations of us, sometimes the expectations outside the home are greater than they are within. I don't know whether that's right or not.
Well, it is what it is, yeah. But when you think of to whom much is given, much is required, in spite of what the expectations are there, what are our expectations of ourselves? Who do we say we are? And what's our commitment to live into that? Because our church is only as healthy as our marriage is.
That's true. I grew up around the church, in the church. My parents, both sides, were involved in ministry, so we know couples in ministry, the pastor's wife. Gina grew up in a Catholic background, so she didn't really see the dynamics between the pastor and his spouse, or her spouse. She didn't see that. So I came into the marriage with a certain image and expectation of it, and she did too, but it was different. Right?
Yeah, I remember thinking when I married you, you were committed to building the ministry, and I was committed to building our marriage.
Right.
So there was a conflict there as well. I mean, a natural.
Well, it wasn't a conflict. We were committed to doing both, but
yes.
I was focused on the ministry and the marriage. You were just focused on the marriage, and I was trying to pull you in to understand that both, because it was like a stepmother, because the ministry at that time, the church was 14 years old. The ministry itself was almost 20 years when we married. So it was like bringing a stepmother in. Mm-hmm. And she looked at the dynamics between all my staff and the congregation and the partners outside the ministry. It was hard to go through a grocery store without somebody stopping me. And that still happens today. We go to public places. I'm going to get stopped. The pastor, and I've talked to many of my pastoral friends, and there are dozens of us, who are always trying to nurture the people, because we love the people, and that our life is bonded to those people. And they basically pay our salaries because they come with their offerings. So the members, it's like our job, but it's also our joy. And sometimes it's our annoyment. You can be anointed, you can be annoyed. So walking through those dynamics, all my other girlfriends understood the church. They were church girls. Gina was the first one that wasn't a quote-unquote church girl from my tradition of church. She was Catholic, though she had been in Protestantism for how many years and filled with the Holy Ghost. But it was still different and new for her. And so I was walking and training and talking, and then it's like a business and a ministry and a dynamic operation with a huge staff and huge payroll, and there were a lot of dynamics that we had to go through, and a lot of it was pivotal. Some of it was prophetic, some of it was absolutely pathetic. It's like, damn, what have I done? God help me. This is crazy.
I really want to acknowledge you for taking it on. It was quite a bit. You were at the peak of your career, in your ministry, in your music. And then you took on... And
here you come.
Building. I was invited.
Okay.
And I said yes to the possibility of who we could become together.
Yes.
What could we create? And now here we have 2 beautiful teenagers. Mm-hmm. That's a miracle.
Yeah, it is.
And here we've lasted.
Yeah, and that one comment is what this is all about. We lasted. I wish we could get on here and talk about how wonderful we do and how we treat and we do everything right. We don't. We haven't. We probably won't. We relate to any marriage. I think we're all tuned in to the same channel or station. It's just that some have the volume up. Any marriage, it is a law of physics. Anything in motion causes friction. The rubbing together of flesh, that's part of intimacy.
Iron sharpening iron.
Yes. And so there's rough times. A lot of them, many people, I was 40, Gina was 31 when we got married. many couples, many of my friends got married in their 20s. A lot of them lasted. Many of them didn't. Because sometimes what you want at 20 is different than what you want or how you experience yourself at 30, and then again at 40, and then again at 50. This year I turned 60. And I keep evolving. You know, Gina's now she just turned, 50? 51. So she used to call me her senior citizen husband. She's getting up there. Now she got her AARP stuff in the mail. She won't even open it like I haven't opened it. It's a little bit intimidating, but we're growing. I want to grow old with this lady, this woman, the mother of my children. I don't want to grow old alone. And so that means compromise. That means sucking up. She's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be perfect. We're not going to be perfect. But we're committed to the plan, the process, and yes, some of the pain.
Well, and that's what a partnership is.
Yeah.
That's the reality of what it is. The woman I am today, I could not have been without you. I get to
I could have
be
told you that, but go ahead.
in my commitment to being a partner with you.
Sure.
So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have
And
no
that's mutual.
regrets.
That's mutual. Yeah. I've grown up. I'll tell you, I was single. I wasn't really selfish, but I was somewhat self-centered because that's the way my life was. I mean, everything was about me. And I knew when I got married that would have to change, and I cognitively, consciously, very aware and deliberately began to make space. It didn't seem enough for you, but I'd made big changes because we only knew each other 3 months when we got married. It's not like we had a history. Gina didn't know me. I didn't know her. We tried to share verbally our background. We spent hours and hours talking about our other experiences, some of our other relationships. We cleared the air, cleared the table, put everything on the table. So there were no surprises, and there weren't. But that's not like living through it. We talked through it. Now we have to walk through it and talk while we walk and work while we walk. You know, it's effort, it's energy, it's engagement, it's participation, it's showing up. It's not shutting down, which I like to do sometimes just to get it out of my hair, keep from going crazy. I just shut down for a period. She kind of knows now. That doesn't make it right, but that's what works for me when I just kind of back off for a little bit. If you have a spouse who needs their time, give it to them. And I'll say to you ladies, when a brother says, I got to get out of here, let him walk out the door. Sometimes I got to get in a car, take a little spin. Don't be saying, no, where are you going? Let him go because he's liable to do something he don't need to do. He's trying to get away from something he feels is out of control. And I've said this from the pulpit. Sometimes let the guy get in the car and go where he needs to go, chill, cool down, go to mama's house if he has to. But whatever you need to do to keep from becoming violent verbally, you can be just as violent and vicious verbally as you can physically. We're not physical in our relationship when it comes to arguments, but we can be verbally violent and vicious. And nobody can hurt you like somebody you love. We know. So I'm aware of that. I'm very cognizant of the fact that I can be pitiful and have self-pity and don't feel sorry for me and not like me and assume that she doesn't like me. When it's hard for me to understand how anybody couldn't like me. But
you are quite likable. You really are. And, I really want to invite our audience who are committed to having a partnership, who are committed to discovering who you are besides who you are when you're alone. What does it take to have the exchange of a healthy relationship? It takes something. There's a price to pay.
Yes.
And it's worth it. I mean, considering the alternative is aloneness, desperation,
bitterness, unforgiveness, self-pity,
depression. And, most people, Carlton, depression is a lack of experiencing your passion. Think about that. When you're holding on to unforgiveness or anger or resentfulness and you just find yourself in a low, you're not moving the magic and the power of who you are, so you're shut down. So depression is something that you can snap out of like that when you choose to get back on the court of your life, whether that's in an engaging relationship. Learn the skills of what it takes to master who it is you are. Like Carlton said, we don't come from a place of having arrived or knowing it. We're sharing what works for us, what we're discovering about ourselves that makes our relationship workable, doable. Depression is the opposite of expression. Expressing it out.
I know what it is to be depressed, not want to get out of the bed, not want to get up in the morning. You don't want to comb your hair. You don't want to brush your teeth. You don't want to shower. You don't want to see anybody. You don't want to go anywhere. You sit there and just wallow in your self-pity and the defeat and sense of defensiveness and all that kind of stuff. It can be very, very, very ugly. And because when you feel like you're not expressing yourself at your maximum, reaching that highest potential. And sometimes older people go through that a lot. Just on the news tonight, they were talking about the highest stress level is between people who are between ages 18 and 34, followed by then the 34 to like 44, and then the baby boomers after that. And then the older people seem to have less stress. They have depression at different levels, but there seems to be a little less stress because you've been through so much, you know not to react. When you're younger, you panic more because you haven't experienced that before. After you've lived a few years, you realize, okay, these things happen. People have arguments. People get upset. People abandon you. Don't take it personally. Work through it. Live around it.
And
live without
create
it.
something else.
Yeah, create something
That's
else.
where the power is. Create something else.
Yeah.
Out of who I choose to be, not based on what I'm doing. You're transitioning in your life at 60. It's different than when you were at 20.
True.
I don't guess you'd want to go back there, would you?
Sometime.
Well, that's because it's familiar. But, look at the wisdom you have today and the ability you have to create. You're powerful.
Well, here's an important realization and recognition and confession. I loved my single life. I loved my self-centered life. I traveled all over the world. I remember flying on planes on my way to Paris or Cape Town, South Africa, or China, or going from Los Angeles to Florida to do TV when I used to do TV, and I had a great staff. They handled everything. I'd go and preach, and people treat you so nice when you go. I had a great life. Would I change it for not having you, not having that little girl, not having my son? I can't. I really can't even compare them. They both, one is more challenging than the other. What do you expect? It's not just you when you're married and when you have children. It's not supposed to be. You accept what is and make the best of it. But I wouldn't give up my relationship for 20 years with you. There have been times when I wish the heck I hadn't have done it. Really, to be honest with you. I wish I should have stayed single. I woke up one day and I had 3 other people in my house, and I thought, what you Negroes doing in here? You too many. Where y'all come from? Where did you come from? And go back to where you came from. But that's common.
It's part of growing.
But at the same time, I couldn't stand for them to walk out of my life or not be present in my life. I can't imagine life without them. I cherish every minute of my life. I miss my church. I miss my people. I miss Tulsa. I miss so much. But I'm still me. And I have to learn how to do me and be me, whatever the situation. Many of you have gone through divorce, or you're on your 2nd or 3rd relationship or marriage, and you're afraid that you might experience some of the other things. Don't let fear be your guide. And don't let fear be your guardian. Don't let fear be your compadre. If you must have fear, make it submit to you. You don't submit to it.
And fear is the absence of love. Create love in your environment, in your heart.
Perfect love. It's not the absence of, but it's the absence of perfected or mature love. The scripture says perfect love. That means mature, full-grown love casts out fear, because fear has torment. That's what I'm quoting the scripture. Fear has torment. Fear is tormentorous. It's torture. So don't make it a feature of your life. Certainly not a focus of your life. Jealousy, suspicion, paranoia. Where is he? Who is he with? Where is she? Who is she with? I know my wife's beautiful. I don't freak out when other men look at her, other women look at her. She's gorgeous. I look at her. I was looking at her before she was mine. The day I met her, I was looking at her, upside. And as a single minister, until that I met Gina, I didn't study. I was careful, a little cautious, a little bit. Somebody might catch me looking. Of course I'm going to look. I still look at beautiful women. I still look at attractive people. Just because you admire somebody doesn't mean you desire somebody. When I admired Gina, I desired Gina. And I knew that, the scripture says it's better to marry than to burn, the inferences with lust. I wasn't actually on fire, but I was starting to smell some smoke at 40 years old. So I needed to do something. So I opened my heart, opened my mind. And he that findeth a wife I really had to stop looking for her and start waiting for her to come into my life. And at the time you did, I was waiting for you to appear. Now, am I the only man who could fit in Gina's life? Of course not. There's any number of men, of all the men on this planet, that could fit into her life. And there are many other women who could fit into mine. But the universe ordained that God ordained that we should be in each other's life. So, if she says that isn't that a good-looking guy over there, I'll say, sure, fine. I'm not an issue. She likes Nicolas Cage. I mean, she's told me Nicolas Cage. I don't mind her liking Nicolas Cage as long as Nicolas Cage stay in that cage.
Cute.
You know, I met Halle Berry long before I met Gina at an event for Bishop Blake in Los Angeles that I was emceeing. She was at the event. I mean, and as I was leaving, she was leaving, and she said to me, "I enjoy your ministry." Oh my God, I didn't know I had a ministry. Wait just a minute. Tell me how you enjoy what but she was gone. She just said that and she was gone. But it was a kind of a high experience. I was a single man that was 30 years ago, for me to encounter Halle Berry at an event that I was, and Magic Johnson was there, and Stephanie Mills, and they were all sitting at my table. And I've had some wonderful experiences in my life, but nothing compares with the depths of experiencing myself that I've had in marriage and children. I experienced people and things, but now I'm experiencing me at a different level, and I'm thankful for it. It's been a trip. It's been costly. It's been some hair-pulling moments, and getting to know me as I get to know Gina, and Gina getting to know Gina as she got to know me, and we're still getting to know. We're still evolving. And this is a powerful moment for us. And all this month, we're going to be talking about this. And you may do a whole program yourself. And I just, on a Thursday night during the month of February, just chat. Gina has a lot to say. Believe me, she has plenty to say. And so do I, and we'll do some things together. If she can be here next Thursday, she will, and we'll just keep talking. You can send your questions to askcarlton@bishoppearson.com, and we'll address them this very week. The specific questions that you ask next week, we'll address them. As many as we can in general. But you who are hurting, we're concerned. And many of you are hurting not because you've been through a divorce, but you're on the verge of one. Or you just came through one. Or you've been thinking about it. You keep thinking about it. You've been thinking about it off and on. Every time it gets bad, you say, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'll never take this. I'm going to get out of here. I've been there. I have been there. Gina has been there. But that's a reaction in fear, not a response in faith. We must learn always to respond in faith rather than react in fear. What did you say about fear a moment ago? It's the opposite of love. Perfect love.
Absence of love.
It is an act of immaturity. But love is dangerous. Love is daring. Love is daunting.
It's risky.
It's risky.
Yeah.
It's risky. Not just erotic love or marital love, but my kids can hurt me. They can break my heart. I can break theirs because I'm their father. I can intimidate them. They can intimidate me. My siblings, I love my siblings. I have one brother and 4 sisters. I care what they think. Sometimes I don't care what nobody thinks. You really do care. But you don't deny that. But learn how to detach yourself from the part of that would be destructive to you or demeaning to you or make you bitter. You can always become better, and that's a choice rather than bitter.
Yeah, because it's really a perception. It's not your kid's intention to ever hurt you. It's
No.
never mine. It's how you perceive it.
That's very true. Perception is the ultimate reality, but not necessarily the ultimate truth. So when you have a perception, study it, investigate it, interrogate it. Why do I have that perception? Because you have a perception, then how do you interpret or translate? When I travel overseas and I'm preaching in different countries, I have a translator or an interpreter. There's a difference. We call them interpreters. Unless you know the English language well, you can't really translate English into another language well. You can interpret to the crowd what you think or perceive that I'm trying to say. There have been times when I've stopped my interpreter because I could tell the crowd wasn't getting it, or I could feel that they were misinterpreting and mistranslating my intention. And I'd say, "Now, what did you tell them? Tell me in English what you told them." And I've had to correct them. It wasn't confrontive. It wasn't combative, but it was confrontive. Because I do need, sometimes I have to say to you, and I don't always like I should, okay, how did you interpret what I just said, babe? My dad used to say to me, It's kind of an abstract, but when I'd be getting ready to get a whipping, he would say, "Now, what am I fixing to whoop you for?" And I'd go, "I want to go. You know what you're fixing to whoop me for? Why don't you change it?" I was thinking that, but I'd go, "Well, I'm gonna get a whooping because I forgot to take the trash out 6 weeks or something like that." But Daddy wanted to make me sure why I was being corrected or why I was being disciplined. Sometimes it's good to say to your spouse or your partner, your boyfriend or girlfriend, "Okay, what did I do? Can you say back to me what I just said? How do you interpret what I just said? How did it come across to you?" And they may get it completely different. They may get it very accurately right, and you say, "Okay, the way you interpret it is that's exactly what I meant. Now, tell me your response to that." And then that's the good way to have a good dialogue. But sometimes we're so angry and so frustrated, busy trying to get our point over, and I've been guilty of that, I've raised my voice in this house. I mean, I've gotten so mad that if I had neighbors close enough, they could hear me. Maybe I don't yell, but I mean, I do raise my voice, and I only raise my voice because I'm trying to get over her. That's something I heard. Who was Gary Smalley, one of the greatest, at least in the Christian circles, marital counselors. He said one of the number one germs that destroys marriages is the inability to argue. We don't know how to be confrontative without being combative. A confrontation becomes a combat. We come armed, alarmed, a call to arms. That's what that means. If I want to alert Gina of something, or she wants to alert me of something, she should be able to do that, and I shouldn't get alarmed because she said, "Sweetheart, we need to talk." And that's very intimidating. Can we have a talk? It's like, oh, jeez, about what? I often say women talk in circles, men talk in lines. We need to talk. About what? Just talk. No such thing as it, because we're on that linear left brain, left hemisphere, and analytical and critical and opinionated. And the female has the corpus callosum that's active, and she can cross, and she can be very analytical, very emotional, within the same day. The man, we both born with the corpus callosum, the tissue that connects the left and right hemispheres of the brain. But as the male gets older, his closes. And so we get on the left and stay to the left. The female keeps hers, and so she can literally cross over. That's why we can have a conversation tonight, wake up in the morning, it's totally different. She has a totally different, because she crossed the bridge during the night. And that's why sometimes we think, girl, I can't, you can't understand a woman, schizophrenic. No, she just has the ability to cross over the corpus callosum to the left side of the brain and be very analytical, very business, very critical. And then she can be also very emotional. She always says to me, get in touch with your feminine side. I remember when the first time she said, I didn't know what that meant. We heard somebody talking about being in touch with the feminine side. I didn't know I had a feminine side. You do. Every male has a feminine side. Every female has a masculine side. I can say, well, you get in touch with your masculine side. What's that book that...
Men Are From Mars.
Yeah, I love that one. But Harvey's book, Steve Harvey, Act Like a Woman, Think Like a Man. Well, how? How do you think like a man? She can say, get in touch with your feminine side. And I want to say, I'm in touch with my feminine side. I'm trying to get in touch with your feminine side. There's a joy in that. Well, it's actually marriage and relationship is spiritual. It's actually scientific. There's a lot of artistry in it, and grace, and philosophical, philosophia, friendliness for wisdom. Sophia is the Greek word for wisdom. Wisdom is wisdom. Why things happen, not just that they happen or what happens, but why did you respond to me that way, sweetheart? What did I say or not say? Why are you distant? You were snappy. You were short. What's the deal? I'm fine. Well, don't say you're fine when you ain't fine. Sometimes it's like, okay, you're fine. I'm out of here. Go in another room. But if she says, well, let me tell you what happened on the way home in the car or yesterday. But one of the things I learned about the female, she has the capacity to incubate. We can sow seeds and forget they were sown. If the seed takes root, germinates an egg in her emotions, she carries that for months, and then 9 months later, it comes out as a baby you didn't know she was carrying. A burden. And she brings it up, and you say, well, you go, when did I say that? It actually was 9 months. Could have been 9 years ago. But they're incubators by nature and nurture. You know, and we have the capacity to have memories and memories. When I say memories, I mean we're nurturing something.
Mm-hmm.
You getting sleepy? Am I keeping
I'm
you awake?
with you.
Oh, no,
I'm
I think you're getting bored. I can tell when her eyes get half mad. She's ready to quit. We'll be through in 4 minutes.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you.
I can't believe you're getting sleepy.
I'm mesmerized by you. So I'm just inhaling and listening to, you share. You are really, you've got so much to offer, and who I get to be with you, the privilege that I get to expand my life and who I am in the world. It's a great privilege, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the last 19 years, 5 months, and 4 days.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's beautiful, sweetheart.
Thank you. I get to discover who I am, when life is challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And out of my commitment to have with you and to create with you and to be with you. It's been a joy. Thank you.
I hope you'll support what we're doing. Go to the little donate button and send something. It's what we do for a living. We minister. I want to get close to you too.
Yes.
Let's share. Be a part of what we're doing. Join us again next time. We're going to open up our hearts and bare ourselves to you. Our objective is to offer you something that will help you be your best self. Let's be close. Join with us. We need to hear from you this week.
Yes. Let us hear
Even
from
tonight.
You. Yes.
Will you do that? And if you're with your spouse or partner after this conversation, why don't you dance? We're gonna dance this out in a minute, okay? Giving me all you've got. This is powerful. This is beautiful.
Your love has captured me.
Your love has captured me. Listen to this. Over and over again, I try to tell myself that we could never be more than friends. And all the while inside I knew it was real, the way you make me feel, yeah. Lying here next to you, I like that.
Time just seems to fly.
Love, hug, kiss.
Needing you more and more.
Let's do a little dancing, come on.
Let's give love a try. Sweeter than sweeter love grows. Heaven's there for those who fool the tricks of time. With the hearts of love they find true love in a special way. The closer I get to you, the more you make me see. By giving me all you've got, your love has captured me.
Good to hear from you. I love you. See you next time.